Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining. If there's too much noise, just let me know, background noise. So we'd like to seek the blessings of Krishna Balaram and Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, so we can continue with the overview of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto and Chapter 84, and also seek the good wishes of the assembled Vaishnavas, so that...
And the land of Lanzarote.
Tenerife, yeah, Tenerife.
Sorry, I keep Tenerife, sorry.
Okay. So it's verse number 63. Prakakalpak Jakushalam Bratarpo Nacharamahi Aduna Shemadandaksha Na Pashyama Purusataha. Translation. Previously, dear brother, we did nothing to benefit you because we were unable to. Yet, even now that you are present before us, our eyes are so blinded by the intoxication of material good fortune that we continue to ignore you.
So we'll see the context of this verse in a few minutes. Chapter 84 is the sages' teachings at Kurukshetra.
Prabhuji?
Yes, Naniman.
We didn't have Mangalacharan today.
Oh, no, we did it earlier.
Or you did it earlier? I joined late. Okay.
Yeah. Because Karuna was
having problems,
getting in.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I thought you are in a
well done.
holiday mood. I thought you are too much holiday mood.
Well done, Naniman. It's good you spotted that. It's very good. Thank you. So this chapter describes the arrival of the great sages at Kurukshetra to observe the auspicious occasion of a solar eclipse. And the sages also glorify Krishna at that time and Vasudev's enthusiastic performance of sacrifices. So, on the occasion of the solar eclipse at Kurukshetra, exalted ladies like Kunti, Draupadi, and Subhadra. So it's nice that it's International Women's Day as well. And Bhagavatam also glorifies these amazing Matajis. Sometimes there are a couple of comments in the Bhagavatam which are taken out of context, may seem to demean women, but actually it's not a fact. Bhagavatam has great regard for the ladies, the devotional ladies, especially like Kunti Mata. Her prayers are so incredible. Whole chapters are dedicated to just prayers of Kunti Mata, you know. The wives of the other kings and the Lord's cowherd girlfriends got the chance to associate with the Lord's queens. Seeing how much the Lord's consorts loved their husband, the ladies were struck with wonder as the women talked amongst themselves, and the men did likewise. Great sages like Narad, Vyas, Devala, Ashita, Vishwamitra, Satananda, Bharadvaj, Gautam, Lord Parshuram, Vashishta, Brigu, Pulastya, Kashyap, Atri, Markandeya, Brihaspati, the four Kumaras, Angira, and Agastya arrived there. This is one incredible place. Wonder what it was like there. Such amazing. And they all desired to see Lord Krishna. The various kings and other leading personalities who were sitting at their leisure, including the Pandavas, Krishna and Balaram, they stood up as soon as they saw the sages. It must have been the most incredible sight. Lord Krishna, Lord Balaram, and the other kings all bowed down to the great souls, inquired about their well-being, and worshipped them by offering them seating places, water, flower garlands, incense, sandalwood paste, and so on. So again, we see Krishna is honoring these incredible sages, great devotees. And then he glorifies them. After the sages were comfortably seated, Lord Krishna said to them, while everyone listened, intently with rapt attention. Now our lives are successful. So this is Lord Krishna. For we have obtained the goal of life, the audience of great sages and yoga masters, which even demigods only rarely obtain. The water at a holy place of pilgrimage and the deity forms of the Lord can purify one after a long time. But saintly sages purify just by being seen. The demigods cannot remove the sins of their worshippers, but wise sages destroy one's sins when respectfully served, even for a moment. This is Lord Krishna. He's really laying it down. He's saying, even I, in my deity form, it takes a long time for somebody to become purified. But the great sages, they can purify it immediately. So those who identify his self as the inert body composed of mucus, bile, and air, assume his wife and family are permanently his own, think that the land of his birth is worshipable, sees a place of pilgrimage as merely the water there. So go to the Ganga and all you see is water. Never identify himself with, worships, or visits those who are wise in spiritual truth. Such a person is no better than a cow or an ass. I would even say a cow is better. After hearing Lord Krishna speak these words in the mood of a mere mortal, the sages remained silent for some time, bewildered. So they came to see Krishna, and Krishna is glorifying them. Then they said, how amazing our Lord is. He covers his true identity with human-like activities and pretends to be the subject to superior control. Surely he has spoken in this way only to enlighten the general populace. Such behavior of his is indeed inconceivable. So this can be very bewildering when the Lord, in fact, whenever one gets glorified, oh, he's so good, you know, the ego sort of expands very fast. And it's like hearing nectar. So can you imagine when Krishna is glorifying? How much, you know, you have to be careful. So the sages, they're of course very grounded. They understand that the Lord is saying this only as an example. Actually, we are subordinate to him. He's not subordinate to us, which is of course the fact. The sages continue to glorify the Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul, the friend and worshipper of the Brahmins. Indeed, the human-like pastimes of the Almighty are simply a pretense. It's like a drama, right? It's just a drama, so that we can remember these pastimes of God and become close to him. Effortlessly, he alone sends forth from his self this variegated creation, maintains it, and then swallows it up again, all without being entangled. So the sages are saying everything comes from him, everything's maintained by him, and ultimately destroyed by him. But he is not part of any of this material process, although it comes from him. You honor, so Krishna honors the Brahminical community, for they are the perfect agents by which one can realize you. Today we have directly seen your lotus feet, the source of the holy Ganga, which washes away volumes of sins. Perfected yogis can at best meditate upon your feet within their heart. But only those who render you wholehearted devotional service attain you as their final destination. Therefore, kindly show mercy to us, your devotees. So it's interesting how they're explaining about the yogis. They can meditate upon his feet within their hearts, which is a good thing. But ultimately, meditation is not enough. There has to be some practical rendering of service to the Supreme Lord. Meditation will free oneself. But when we perform devotional service, especially when we're spreading Krishna consciousness, then we will attain the Supreme Lord. So, after the sages had praised him, Lord Krishna offered them his obeisances, and they begged his permission to return to their hermitages. Just then, however, Vasudeva came forward. So the father of Krishna came forward, bowed to the sages and asked, what activities can one perform to be freed from the bondage of fruitive work? So excellent question, of course. What can we do to get out of this world? So he's asked the sages. Narad Muni said, "O Brahmins, it is not so amazing that in his eagerness to know, Vasudeva has asked us about his ultimate benefit, for he considers Krishna a mere boy. In this world, familiarity breeds contempt. For example, one who lives on the banks of the Ganga might travel to some other body of water to become purified. So interesting comment by Narad Muni. Very interesting comments. He's saying Krishna is Vasudeva's son. That means he's treating him like a child, his own boy. But actually, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now he's asking you, which is very strange because he's the father of the Supreme Lord. But he's asking you a question. How can he become free from this world? So it's a bit like this point here. Somebody who stays on the holy rivers may go to another holy river to get purified, which doesn't make sense. The sages replied, while all the kings, along with Lord Achyuta and Balaram, listened. By worshipping the Supreme Lord Hari, through the performance of Vedic sacrifices, you will become free from the bondage of fruitive work. So they immediately cut to the chase. Learned authorities who see through the eyes of scriptures have demonstrated that this is the easiest method of subduing the agitated mind and attaining liberation. It is auspicious for a householder to worship the Lord with wealth honestly obtained. An intelligent person should learn to renounce his desire for wealth by performing sacrifice and acts of charity. So one of the biggest things that attachments, apart from the family, the wife and children, is wealth. And the sages are advising, if we have any wealth, give it. Because when you give it away, you're no longer attached to it. And you've given it away as opposed to it being taken from you by force at the time of death. When it's taken from you by force at the time of death, it means your attachment is still there. And you'll come back. So giving it away during your lifetime makes a lot of sense. And many people, their desire is to be completely penniless at the time of death. Nothing to their name at the time of death because they've given it away. Of course, that timing is not easy to achieve, but certainly a nice desire to have. Don't want anything in my possession. I just want it all given to others for their benefit or for service of the Lord. We should learn to renounce desire for wife and children by experiencing family life. So sometimes family life seems such a nice place to be, but we all know it has its challenges, and experiencing family life should make us detached from family because it's a double-edged sword. So there are three kinds of debts which should be liquidated before death. One to the demigods by performing sacrifice. So again, they're on the subject of how do you stop, how do you get out of this world? If you have a debt, you're going to have to come and repay it. So what are these debts? To the demigods. So how can we repay it? By performing sacrifice. To the sages, how can we repay the sages? Studying the scriptures. To the forefathers, how do we do that? Get rid of that debt. Have children. Children who will continue this process of Shrad and whatever else for the forefathers. And then he's saying, you are already free from two of your debts, those to the sages and those to the forefathers. Now, absolve yourself from the debt to the demigods by executing Vedic sacrifices. In this way, free yourself completely of debt. Of course, Vasudev doesn't have any debt anyway. He's the father of the Supreme Lord. But this is guidance for people in general. A devotee has no debts to pay. These don't exist because he's already serving the Supreme Personality of God who takes care of all of his debts. It's like when you water the root of the plant is all nourished. You don't have to water the leaves and the trunk separately. So when we're worshipping the Supreme Lord, nothing else is required. You have previously worshipped Lord Hari. Both you and your wife must have perfectly worshipped him with supreme devotion, since he has accepted the role of your son. So then Vasudev requested the sages to act as its priests. So he accepted their advice. He arranged for Vedic sacrifices to be performed with super excellent paraphernalia. And then what did they do? They decorated Vasudev's eyes with black cosmetic. They smeared his body with fresh butter. The priests initiated him according to the scriptural rules of sprinkling him and his 18 wives with sacred water. Performing various kinds of Vedic sacrifices according to the proper regulations, Vasudev worshipped the Lord of all sacrificial paraphernalia. Sorry, he worshipped the Lord, and this Lord is one who is worshipped by sacrificial paraphernalia, his mantras and rituals. So Vasudeva executed both primary and secondary sacrifices. What does that mean, primary and secondary? So primary is sacrifice to please the Supreme Lord. Secondary is to please his devotees, like the devatas. Offering oblations to the sacred fire and carrying out other aspects of sacrificial worship. So this is very interesting how in this company of Supreme Lord himself and the great sages, Vasudev got this opportunity. So whenever we have an opportunity to do something, take the opportunity. Let's not be shy or reluctant. If the opportunity ever arises that we can feed devotees, we can serve devotees, we can serve the Supreme Lord, that opportunity should be taken. Afterwards, Vasudev presented the priests with valuable gifts of cows and jewelry, and also with marriageable Brahmin girls. He then performed the ritual bath, marking the end of the sacrifice, and fed everyone sumptuously, even the village dogs. Next, he gave ample gifts to his relatives, the various kings and others, who all took Sri Krishna's leave and returned to their homes. The others were all embraced by their friends, close family members, and other relatives, including Dhritarashtra, so he was there, and his younger brother, Vidur. Pratha, that's Kunti, and her sons. Bhishma, Drona, the twins, Nakul, Sahadev, Narad, Vyasdev, personality of God. Their hearts melted with affection. These and other guests left for their kingdoms. Their progress was slowed by the pain of separation. However, Nanda Maharaj, with the cowherd boys, remained with Yadus during their stay. And during their stay, Krishna, Balaram, and Ugrasen and the others honored him. So we have to remember, Nanda Maharaj's position was inferior to Vasudeva. Vasudeva was a Kshatriya, he was a king. Nanda Maharaj was a simple cowherd boy. But we see that actually the honor, they have honored Nanda Maharaj. Vasudeva said to Nanda, we did nothing to benefit you. So this was that verse that we read right at the beginning. Because we were unable to. Yet even now, you are present before us. Our eyes are so blind by the intoxication of material good fortune that we continue to ignore you. May a person who wants the ultimate benefit in life never gain kingly opulence, for it leaves him blind to the needs of his own family and friends. So this is the problem with wealth. It can make one very proud and arrogant and lead to performing actions which are not good for oneself, bad karma, which will bring one down to hellish life. So wealth, people may see it as a blessing, but actually it's a curse. Like we were saying the other day, how in the court of Lord Ramachandra came a dog who was cruelly treated by I think it was a Brahmin. And the dog was asked by Lord Ramachandra, what punishment should we afford this Brahmin who's treated you so badly? And the dog said, make him the head of the temple, head of the mutt. And Lord Ramachandra was very surprised. He said, why? Should we not punish him? The dog said, yes, that is punishment. Because as the head of the mutt, he will become very proud of himself. And he will offend many people. And then he will attain hellish planet after death. So in the same way, power or wealth can be a curse. May a person who wants the highest benefit in life never. Vasudeva wept. His eyes brimmed with tears as he remembered the friendship Nanda had shown him. Nanda was also full of affection for his friend Vasudeva. Thus, during the following days, Nanda would repeatedly announce, I will be leaving later today, and I will be leaving tomorrow. But out of love for Krishna and Balaram, he remained there. So this is a very sweet interaction between Nanda and Vasudeva and Krishna and Balaram. Finally, at the end of 3 months, Nanda left Mathura with the fond farewells of all the Yadavas. When the Yadavas finally saw that the rainy season was about to begin, they returned to Dwarka, where they related all that happened at Kurukshetra to the residents of their capital. So that's the end of chapter 84. Any questions, any comments? Okay, so let's go to...
Yeah, Riyansh.
Yes, Riyansh.
Prabhuji, I have a doubt that in the last bit you told that Nanda Maharaj had gone to Mathura. Nanda Maharaj have to go to Vrindavan, right? Where does he go to
Yeah.
Mathura?
Yes, good question. Actually, that whole area is known as Mathura. Vrindavan is a district of Mathura. So actually, they meant Vrindavan. Actually, it means Vrindavan. So,
Okay, Raj.
well spotted, and it shows you're really sharp. Really impressed with you for paying such attention. Huh? Thank you so much, Riyaj.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay, Madhusan Prabhu.
Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, you know, this place, Kurukshetra, when they met, this is amazing that so many personalities were there, you know, and it's amazing that in last chapter we read, you know, and we were commenting on this, that there were, you know, the Brijvasis were there, the Pandavas, Kurus, everyone was there. And now, you know, in this chapter, we see how all the sages and the saintly personalities, you know, which includes Narad Muni, and they all come to this festival as well. So it's amazing that it's like, you know, the whole universe, or rather the whole creation, with Krishna there as well. So that means, you know, everyone is there. But it's a special, poignant moment where we learn how Krishna actually receives saintly people. And also, you know, what I sometimes feel is that all the time, many times in the Bhagavatam, there's a comment about not being so attached to the family, and you should be renounced, and you should not think of your family. And yet here there is emphasis on Krishna wanting to protect all the Dwarka, Brijvasis, and they're all part of the families actually as well. But the distinction I seem to make is that, you know, we encourage not to be very much in a materialistic family like Griha Medi and Grihastha. I think that's, you know, what I seem to see. That again, you know, it may come across very contradictory, where he says, here there is respect given to the parents are thinking about the children, the family members, their friends, relatives, all the relatives are there. Kunti is thinking about her relatives, her sons. They're not like totally detached from family as such, you know. So anyway, it's for one to resolve somehow, understand, come to some understanding. So chapter 84, you know, this chapter reveals all the Sanatan values, principles, etiquettes, and instructions, which Lord Krishna himself also shows and practices them as an example to teach us, as he is the Adi Guru. So, you know, he himself teaches us how the saintly people are received, the value of the holy dhams. He said, you know, like someone may live near the Ganges, but he goes off to another holy places. But the holy place is only, and here is, you know, Krishna is emphasizing that the holy places are pure because of the saintly people. They lessen the burdens, they take away the sins. You go to holy places and not actually go to some saintly personalities, like go to Vrindavan and then not take advantage of some of the saintly personalities there, then we're not really getting the full benefit, you know. So I think that's how I understand it. We see how he receives all the saintly personalities, include Narad Muni, Parshuram, four Kumaras, etc., you know, who came to Kurukshetra, how he worships them and glorifies them, who in turn glorify Krishna. So they're glorifying each other, and yet, you know, they're they're so much reciprocating with each other like that. We learn how Vasudev the sponsors an amazing sacrifice, which is performed by these sages upon the request, followed by the reciprocal interaction between the two spiritual friends, like Nanda Maharaj and Vasudev. You know, they're two friends. There again, you know, the friendship is there on a spiritual level because it's centered around Krishna. And I think that's what I understand there. If anything is centered around Krishna, then all your family members, you know, you're attached with the right values, you know, because Krishna is the center. And that's what we encourage. So Krishna also has to pacify Nand Maharaj and the Vrajvasis so they can leave from Vrindavan. So Krishna is actually pacifying on my. He said, you know, I have yet to do a few things. I want to go to Dwarka again. Then when I go to Dwarka, then I'll come back and protect you, because Dantavakra is going to come and attack Mathura. So I'll have to come and protect you. He's kind of predicting the future, what he has to do. He has to kill Shishupal, and he gives all these kind of reasonings. And then Nand Maharaj, you know, says, well, yeah, okay, I'll have to let you go. So then they leave for Vrindavan. And so from this point, and if in the meantime, so Krishna is telling to Nand Maharaj and the Vrajvasis that if in the meantime, my dear parents and you, my beloved friends, are distressed by the unavoidable fate written on our foreheads, Krishna gives this reasoning that this is unavoidable fate written on our foreheads, that we got to go through all this, you know, separation, and having to kill all these demons, and be in separation and all that. So whenever you wish to feed me some delicacy or play some game with me or simply see me, just close your eyes and I'll appear before you in turn to turn your torment into sky flowers and fulfill all your desires. So this is what Krishna promises. I promise you this. And the young friends of mine whose lives I saved in the forest fire can vouch for this. So Krishna is actually saying how if you're in separation, you want to do something for me, you want to offer me something, play with me, then just close your eyes. And I think this is a message to us as well, that sometimes we feel separated, and we can do the same. So convinced by all these arguments that his son's happiness was the prime importance, Nand Maharaj accepted the gifts offered to him and took his leave, accompanied by the Yadu's large army. So we can, you know, take a lot from this chapter and the instructions given. So it's amazing. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, well done, Prabhu. That's really powerful what you've just shared. Very, very powerful. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it gives me an insight into. I learn a lot from this as well, because you know I'm really realizing that Krishna has to separate from Vrindavan, and when I hear some videos and some clips about some saintly people in Vrindavan, and especially, you know, when I next go to Vrindavan, I would realize that, you know, we really should, but we are fortunate actually that, you know, Prabhupada is always there in that Krishna Balaram temple. And by going there and associating with devotees and saintly people, and that's, and by reading Prabhupada's books, actually, I think Prabhupada said, you know, his words are the way we can associate with Prabhupada. So without the association of saintly people, we really can't make any progress, and you know, spiritual life cannot unfold for us. So otherwise, we only see material aspects. Okay, thank you very much.
We are very
Hare
lucky
Krishna to everyone.
when we go to Vrindavan, you know, we can do some real practical service to the Brijvasis through Trikal, you know, because it gives us a facility now. Because I remember him saying a little while ago, one sadhu said to him, you know, what's the point of coming and having darshan, reading some books? Do something practical, do something that will really help. And that shook him up, you know. And ever since, you know, he's really focused in on assisting others, and he's focusing us how to help others. So it's really amazing. It's really amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully we can do something.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to go there some point.
Yeah.
And see him at Trikal.
That's right.
Haribol.
Thank you. Anybody, any questions, any comments?
Yeah, and you've made Tenerife into a spiritual place now. So,
Actually already was, because the temple here is really nice.
well, the temple there, yeah.
That's really
It's
nice.
amazing, yeah.
Well, and that's the beauty of Prabhupada, going everywhere throughout the world, you know, opening temples.
Yeah, correct.
Give the association. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
jai.